Gavin Newsom to victims of California fires. He said, "You can't rebuild the same, have to rebuild with climate reality in mind." Wow. Wow, wow. As if the people haven't already suffered enough. And they're already going to have to go through all types of red tape to rebuild because, of course, it's California, one of the worst places to build something. You can't even build a shed without waiting like 2 years to build it in your own backyard. So can you imagine having to rebuild all over again? It's just crazy. And now he's talking about got to keep climate reality in mind. So what does that mean? You're going to have to pay for more expensive things like solar stuff or whatever the climate hoax stuff they're trying to push to make more money. Like, it's just crazy. I actually have a little bit of empathy for these people, even though they voted for this. This is what they vote for. This is what they talk about all the time. But now that they're having to face the things they actually voted for, there a lot of people in California are fed up with Gavin Newsom and his agenda and his policies. And I think they have done a recall. There's a recall effort right now to try to kick him out of office. This is like his second time being recalled. But we'll see what Californians do. We'll see how they react to all this. But we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna play the clip of what Newsom has to say, or New Scum is what a lot of people like to call him. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button. Share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. Has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account, so follow me there as well. All right, so let's get into this news. Now, this comes from the Gateway Pundit, and they report that last month, comedian Adam Carolla went viral in a video where he talked about how horrible the rebuild process would be for the victims of the California fires because of progressive policies in the state. Carolla said, "So here's what's going to happen. All these people who are deep blue Democrats are now going to have to pull a permit to rebuild. And they're going to get the 28-year-old bitch from the Coastal Commission telling them to go F off. And then they're going to vote for Trump or whoever's Trumpian next. When they start getting the regulation, they're going to go nuts. And when they start running into the bureaucracy and the red tape, they're going to start going nuts, and they're going to vote for Rick Caruso next time." And that's what I'm saying. That's the exact same sentiment that I had. Like, it's all well and good. They talk a real good game with these progressive policies and all these other things. But what happens when these policies that you've been voting for years are coming to bite you in the butt? When you have to rebuild, when you have to start from scratch, and you have to go through this crazy administrative state. What are you going to do then? And this is going to be a wake-up call for a lot of these Democrats. But California Governor Gavin Newsom tried to get out in front of this and said that the red tape would be cut and rebuilding permits would flow freely in order for these people to rebuild their lives and their homes. But the question is, why have all that bureaucratic red tape in the first place? Why have it in the first place? And yet, Gavin Newsom just appeared on CNN and explained that people can't rebuild the same. Newsom suggests that there's a new reality due to the quote-unquote science and climate change, and that all of that has to be taken into account as people rebuild. In other words, Adam Carolla was right. Newsom and other authorities in California may be handing out building permits, but it's pretty clear that there will still be red tape and new rules for rebuilding. So it's still going to take forever to rebuild in California. Let's watch this clip for ourselves. Here we go.
You previously mentioned the timeline for rebuilding would be 6 to 9 months. Is that going to happen? And should people rebuild in some parts of California, given how high the fire risk
Yeah,
is.
you can't rebuild the same. So we have to rebuild with science. We have to build with climate reality in mind. We have to look at infrastructure, redundancy, systems, ingress, egress as it relates to emergency management and planning, materials. All of that is being reviewed and reconsidered, and with the latest iterations in terms of understanding and technology. And I say technology in the context of how, again, we build the infrastructure to keep it safe, to address undergrounding of lines, how we address the larger issues of redundancy in terms of systems. But more important than anything else is the need to get the debris removed. 30 days to do the hazardous waste. We want to get 6 to 9 months, the rest of the debris done. Concurrently, people are getting permits. So this is all happening, rolling together, and we want to see construction very shortly. And in the next few years, we want to see hundreds, thousands of homes rebuilt.
But I think there's a big question about how do some Californians do that, right? You have State Farm announcing that it has an average 22% interim rate hike for homeowners. The fair insurance plan for the state is just bogged down right now. Your dad, I believe, is on that plan, if I recall. Californians are saying they're not getting the help they need from FAIR. It's really confusing.
Well, FAIR's not a state plan. It's not a taxpayer-funded plan. It's a syndicate pool run by the insurance market itself. And it's the insurer of last resort. And it's existed back to Ronald Reagan in 1968. As it relates to that plan and their exposure, they have reinsurance, a significant amount of reinsurance. We feel strongly at this moment, and again, this changes in real time, that the plan will be able to absorb the losses ultimately. Now, as it relates to the larger issue of the insurance market, not unique to California by any stretch of the imagination, what's happening with insurance, and this is the reality, the new reality of
the insurance is even higher there because of the mismanagement of the whole fire system. That's why a lot of people don't even have fire insurance, because of the mismanagement, and insurance companies don't want to insure Californians because they don't really take care of the forestry and things like they're supposed to.
Extremes, extreme heat, extreme drought. You have droughts and rain bombs. You have flooding at the same time you're dealing with droughts, all happening concurrently. There's a new reality, the world we're living in. And if you're not believing science, you have to believe your own eyes, your own lived experience. And the reality is the insurance market understands it better than anyone else. The market and Mother Nature's are going to have to change the way we live.
Not only the market, not only Mother Nature, but how do you maintain these things? They're looking at how California is maintaining these things, and they refuse to maintain the forestry, which is why it was so bad in the first place. Trump warned them a long time ago about this, but they let the environmentalists run the state, and the environmentalists was like, no, we don't want to touch the forestry whatsoever. Don't even go in and clean the dead leaves and dead trees to prevent the fires from spreading when it does happen. You got to leave it alone because we don't want to mess with the environment, and this is what you get.
And do business in the context of how we plan, how we do land use, zoning into the future along the lines of your question. We have to wake up to this reality. We cannot be in denial about what's going on with Mother Nature, again, around the globe, not just in the state of California.
Just to sort of pin you down, what does that mean for the rebuilding in some of these high-risk areas?
It means it's going to take a very, very long time. It means a lot of these people, their houses are there. They're not going to get permitted to rebuild in these places because they're going to rezone it. You heard him say it himself. He's going to rezone. So they're going to rezone it and then probably make it like commercial or something like that. Or who knows what they're going to do with this thing. But a lot of people are going to lose their homes because of Gavin Newsom. Watch what I tell you. Watch what I tell you. They're not going to be able to rebuild in some of these places.
But more sophisticated design and planning. Remember, Altadena, many of those homes were done in the 20s and 30s and 40s for a world that no longer exists from a climate perspective. And so the ability to absorb a deeper understanding as you rebuild it presents itself anew in a profound and, we hope, impactful way. So I'm concerned about it, but I'm not concerned about our resourcefulness to address it with the most modern standards anywhere in the world. By the way, California leads the nation already in building zoning standards. Our ability now to take it to the next level, to be a model for the...
What does that mean? You lead in zoning standards. It means you have the most regulation than anyone. That's what that means when he says that. That's what he's talking about. I mean, we got more zoning, we got more regulation and red tape and all this thing than anywhere else in the country. We lead on that. That's what he really means by that.
The rest of the country presents itself.
I mean, crazy. He have learned absolutely nothing. Just a few days ago, the New York Post reported government red tape means it could take up to 18 months to clear the ash and debris from the charred remains of homes that were burned into in the Los Angeles wildfires. A federal program will pay contractors to haul away the rubble at no cost to residents, but they'll have to work through layers of bureaucracy. Just crazy, including the Los Angeles County government, the Federal Army Corps of Engineers, and the Environmental Protection Agency to get it done, just to clear it off, just to clear it out. That means that even through the wildfires have finally, that means that even though the wildfires have finally been contained, devastated Los Angeles homeowners can either pay out of pocket for the costly removal or potentially wait more than a year before they can finally rebuild, authorities said. This situation will be watched very closely. True that. I'm going to be definitely keeping my eye on that. It will be easy to see how things progress and how quickly people in California are able to rebuild. It's going to be wild. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.